On this rainy morning, why don't you do something to brighten someone else's life? Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week. And it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and BYU Meals.
Question of the morning. Big game tonight. BYU, 23rd ranked, at 10th ranked Iowa State. What would a victory mean for NCAA tournament seeding? Gary says it's going to make them a 5 seed instead of a 6 seed. So not much. Mike thinks it's only going to get them to a 7 seed. Aaron, 4, baby. Give me a 4 seed.
4? I think there's
jump.
room to be done. There's work to be done, I should say, to get a 4 seed. But I think it's possible because you would then most likely, you got 2 top 20, 25 wins on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's big. One of them top 10. Then you're going to beat teams in this conference tournament that will help your seeding. It's not like the West Coast where Mark Few basically said, I ain't playing these teams. And then they bite them into practically the finals, right?
Yeah. Okay, then we'll redo the format. We'll be right back.
Yeah. The Gonzaga rules. And I get what he's saying. Well, that's not the case here, man. So if you were to do all that stuff, beat a couple of ranked teams in the tournament, and then get to the final and see what you got there, that's most likely. Suppose you beat Houston. Now, I don't think that if you beat Houston in the final, say, and assuming the pairings work out that way, yeah, you're moving up. There's no doubt about it. I don't think at that point Houston is moving down. They'll be fine. They'll be solidified where they are because they will have earned it over 3-4 months. But if you beat them, because nobody's beating them these days.
True story. They've got 1 loss in league.
Yeah.
They've just sailed through the thing.
Right. And they play you so tough. And, the Big 12 title game is a premier game.
And by the time it's played, the field is largely set, and they don't want to redo things anyway. Start moving too many pieces around and mess everything up.
Yeah, that's what I say. If Houston loses, they're not going anywhere. They're going to still most likely be a 1 seed for a very good reason. But I think the Cougs, then, if they start piling up some late season wins over ranked teams, yeah, they're moving up. And a 4 is a possibility. 5, I would think, almost definite at that point.
Ken Pomeroy, KenPom.com.
I've heard of him.
You have heard of him. Has him at 25th right now in his rankings. So that says they're already in 6-7 territory. Mm-hmm. So these wins you talk about, Iowa State tonight, plus whatever else you can add on, Iowa State a second time in the conference tournament in the quarterfinals. How much can you move them up? 4 seems a bit too far.
If you beat Houston, and so you're semi and final, I think you can.
So then you beat Houston. Maybe you're beating Arizona again. That would be a potential.
Well, whoever you beat, man, that's going to be a really good team. You got some good teams at the top, man, and some brand names where people recognize, and the human factor. Wow, you beat Arizona twice? They've been good for 40 years.
They have been.
So you got that going on. So, yeah, I can see something along those lines. And BYU, they're a team that draws publicity because what they have now and what they're going to have next year. I mean, that thing of AJ dancing around on the crowd like he's friggin' Mick Jagger, that resonated across the country if you're following basketball. There's just no doubt about it. And it was so fun to see. College basketball, if I look at which sport has been more closely aligned with the pros for decades, it's college basketball. It's the basketball sport as opposed to the other sports in college. And with that in mind, it's a business, right? Well, here you got a kid, and get this, a millionaire already, going to be even more, and he was acting like a wide-eyed teenager. That was sort of wholesome in a sport that has been dirty and polluted for decades.
It's been all about the money.
Right.
You got mega shoe companies.
Going into high schools and even lower.
Yeah, I was going to say, out there trying to sign 13 and 14-year-olds and giving them free shoes. And it's crass commercialism
and
at a young age.
Saunders makes a play on a nice basket and he gets fouled. And he's over there in that student section as if he's a BYU student. And those are his mates.
He also had one of his teammates at Utah Prep with him, who's a high-level recruit.
And that's great too. But I'm not talking about that right now. I'm just talking about the innocence of it. Didn't you go? I know I did. I went to high school games. I played baseball, but I went to football. I went to basketball, and those were my guys. I can remember a football game, and probably from the stadium to the locker room was maybe 200 yards. Mm-hmm. I can remember running alongside of them, smacking them on the shoulder pads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those were your mates. Those were your friends. Those were your guys. Who did not root for your own high school team? You got to be true to your school. And in a sense...
Thanks, Beach Boys.
You're welcome. This resonated. It was so pure in a big-time sport. His father's out there soliciting bids over and over again. If you read the stories, who did the story? Was it ESPN? I don't even know.
Well, there's one recently.
Oh, no, Boston Globe.
In Boston Globe.
Boston Globe was
where
the story.
He was, he's,
that was the story, because he's a Massachusetts kid. That's
he's
right.
He's the agent for him and everything.
Yeah. I mean, he's just...
There's a business side of the sport.
And he quits his job and moves out to Hurricane. And he's standing in line at the Roadhouse on Telegraph. Believe me, I've done that many times.
The Roadhouse on Telegraph. Local knowledge.
They need, any of you developers out there, they need another Texas Roadhouse in the St. George area because, man, that place is just jammed. And when you ride on Telegraph, it sits up a little bit. So even if you're not going to Texas Roadhouse, you can look over and see the people. It's like 5 o'clock. The line, they're already standing outside. And that's what he's doing because Dad can't cook. So he's moved out there, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he's already a pro in that. You've heard that many times. Joe Ingles talked about that. I think it was his sister went with him to Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
He did because he was 19.
Right. So you have some company, basically, somebody to watch you, help you. And that's what we assume with pros. Well, this kid's he's already doing that. And that was some form of innocence that is drawing people to what is this story about? The Boston Globe doing a massive piece on it, right? We already know you're not going to outbid us. So I think the whole point I'm making is that BYU is generating a lot of buzz. And if they can back it up by finishing strong and say they don't lose the rest of the way until the tournament starts, they're moving up big time.
Right. We just changed the conversation, though, from what would a win tonight mean to what would 3 or 4 big wins mean. And with 3 or 4, you can certainly see it. When you move somebody up, you got to move somebody down. I do see some teams in front of them that are flailing. Kansas, who is ahead of Jeff Palm and looks like a 6th seed.
Who the heck is Jeff Palm?
Ken Palm, sorry. I almost said, I got Jeff Sagarin.
You got Jeff Sagarin, Jeff Borzello, Jeff Palm.
Oh, I thought there was somebody out there that I didn't know.
So
Ken Palm.
So he went to play off the Ken Palm thing?
No, I'm looking at Ken Palm's thing here. You got him at 25, Kansas at 21. They need some of these teams to be dropping also. Some teams they can just jump over. They need some teams to clear out and make way for them as well.
If they win out, I don't think they need anybody to do anything.
Well,
they'll be rewarded. Now, winning out is a long shot, by the way. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Right, but see, Arizona's 13 right now, so a second victory over Arizona. However it moves the numbers, and I can't pretend to do the math Ken Palmer does. I don't even understand it. But the human factor, I'm sure it would move the math somehow, and the human factor of, well, how can we seed those guys, Arizona, in front of BYU if BYU beats them twice? Now, I don't even know that they're going to play them again, but let's just, for argument's sake, say they do. And the
Yeah.
Cougars get a win again.
I was looking at Jedediah Palm.
Jedediah, my guy.
Jed Palm.
Better known as Jed Palm.
Jedpalm.com.
I mean, Lavernius.com. There's all sorts of stuff out there.
Jedediah is an underrated name.
Is it a gymnast? Who's the athlete who shares the name? Because we were talking to him and the dad wanted him to change his name or something.
It's a singer.
It's a singer. It's a singer. That's what it was, yes.
Gymnast.
That was some athlete. I was trying to figure out the sport. I couldn't remember. It wasn't basketball.
it's
Oh,
a
wait. It's not even
singer.
sports. It's singer. You're right. Yeah. Maybe if Jedediah, I wonder if Jedediah would clear it up. We can run that by him next time. Hey, Jedediah. But now BYU's in the Power League, so these wins you talk about, like one of the teams they would have to jump if they're going to move up from a 7 or whatever it is to 5 or 4. One of the teams they have to jump is St. Mary's. So they get rewarded because they're in the Big 12 and the West Coast Conference gets punished. They were on the other end of this conversation in the last decade.
Sure. I think, and with the advent of the women's game, and this is Women's Month, right? Why don't we have a LaQuisha.com? Why isn't there something for the women that gets as much run as Ken Palm?
What is it? It's not poaching. It's sitting on, what do you call it when you buy up some domain?
Parking.
Parking, thank you, yes. Go buy that, spend your $10 or $20, whatever it costs to get the domain.
LaQuisha.com?
Whatever, yeah, sure, whatever you think that is going to be hot, and then you can sell it, turn around and flip it for $1,000.
Why do
or
they
whatever.
have to be hot? Why
Easy
Why
money.
did you have to introduce that? Why do they have to be hot?
Because that way they're popular. Oh, you're going hot. I see what you're doing. Oh, very clever.
Oh, yeah, like you didn't.
Yeah, I really didn't.
No, you're so pure.
Thank you. Glad you cleared that up. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. The band of the day is coming up. I got a question for you Ute fans, and I got to say, just put this up on Twitter this morning. Ute fans fully embracing the conversation. What do you want? The job is open. There are people with different ideas, but man, there are a couple ideas that are surging to the top of the list. We'll get to that at 8 o'clock. Stay with us. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.